Hi guys and welcome to another video. Now today I am going to discuss who I believe should stay and who I believe should go in this Sunderland team. Now I kind of was refraining from making this video because, spoiler alert, if it was up to me, 90% of this squad wouldn't be anywhere near the stage of my life. But I am going to do it anyway, and the way it's going to go, I'm going to work through the team, each player from each position, give a tiny bit of input, and obviously say whether I would like to see them stay or whether I would like them to go. There's some players, or a lot of players, who are on loan, and I will, when it comes to them players, I'll just basically say whether I'd like to see them back, blah, 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 blah. So anyway, let's get into it, and we shall start with the dreaded goalkeeper position. And where better to start than Lee Camp? I mean, yes, he was a sort of emergency loan pretty much because the two other goalkeepers we had were having shockers this season, or last season that's just gone. But, oh my god, could we have found a worse replacement? I'm not going to lie, when I heard that we've been even linked with him, I thought, oh, I've heard his name go around a bit for quite a few years now. Surely he's got a bit of experience, he must have something about him. He's obviously made a living for himself from football, so he must be at least half decent. Jesus Christ, was I wrong. I remember watching the highlights of his first game and I thought, let's have a look at him in action. And then there he is, some 5'4" short arse with slicked back, greasy grey hair and his trampy beard. I swear, it honestly looked like a homeless man had got on the pitch and they thought, right, we're desperate now. No one's going to know where he is, so no one's going to be able to get any background knowledge on him. He's our keeper. He's our keeper. That's Lee Camp, that is. That's Lee Camp. And I tell you what, half of our downfall this season, I put it down to him. The amount of goalkeeping errors he made, oh my god. And half of it, I mean, because he's so small, a lot of it, he just looks drowned. You know, he can't catch a ball, he can't collect corners. And I'm not going to get too into it because it's going to end up just being a rant about Lee Camp, but he's a shocking goalkeeper. He really is a shocking goalkeeper. He's probably a lovely man, but how the hell he's made a living in football, I do not know. So he will... Well, or he wouldn't be coming back if it was for me. He'd have to go immediately. And next goalkeeper we have Jason Steele. This is just hilarious going through the goalkeepers. Steele had a shocking season, although, to be fair to him, the last few games of the season he made the odd decent save, here and there. And I thought he was starting to come into his own a little bit, but to be fair to all the goalkeepers, even though they've had shocking seasons, the defenders in front of them, they haven't helped. Do you know what I mean? I mean, half of the goalkeepers in the world, if they had that defensive line in front of them, your confidence would be a little bit knocked. But Steele is another one who I still don't have the time of day for. He made way too many errors throughout the season. And I'd also say that he'd have to go. And the next goalkeeper is Reuter, which... I'm really torn with Reuter because he has had a shocker. He's had plenty of shockers. He comes off the line way too quick, and he's also prone to an error or two. But when we put him on that trial in pre-season, he looked quality. He looked like a gem. He looked like a quality goalkeeper. But then, obviously, as soon as he signed the contract, he was shocking. So I really don't know. I'm very much undecided with Reuter. Obviously, had those... that absolute hilarious game. Well, it wasn't hilarious at the time, but I look back at it now and God, it is just ridiculous. I think it was a 2-2 draw with Millwall, I think, and two of the goals that we conceded were just entirely his fault and just horrendous goalkeeping errors. So, I don't know. Because of the pre-season and because in interviews he does have the right frame of mind, he does have the passion for the club, which is quite odd considering he did come from Holland and then... I didn't think he'd have that much of an attraction, but apparently he did. In interviews that he said that, you know, he did like watching Sunderland, he likes the passion of the fans. So he's got the personality there. The pre-season looked half decent, which isn't much to go off. But maybe keep him around as a backup goalkeeper. I don't know, it's just my opinion, this guy's, but I don't know why you have a tiny soft spot for Reuter. At least he's not 3'2". So yeah, maybe you can stick around as a backup goalkeeper. And I know we obviously have Sturgek as well, Max Sturgek. The youngster who I don't think he's played at all for us this season. A lot of people are calling for him to be used, but he is only a very, very young lad. But yeah, because I haven't seen him, and I'd obviously say keep him around. That's fine. I wouldn't say get rid of someone who I haven't seen. That'd be unfair. Will he get a chance next season? I still don't think he will. But yeah, keep him on the books because we're going to need some kind of backup, aren't we, in that position. Now on to our first offender, Billy Jones. Get out, son. You're absolutely shocking. Billy Jones, probably one of those players that should have left the club over the last couple of years. And there was quite a few of those names in this squad that should have probably left a good couple of years ago. Billy Jones, just not good enough. He's way off the pace. He even looks out of his depth in the Championship the majority of the time. So yeah, he'd have to go for me. Brian Oviedo over on the other side. I'd like to see him stay. He has already said that, you know, he doesn't want to go down to League One, which is fair enough. He's probably been one of the most consistent performers for us in what was a horrendous season. Defensively, he gets cut out way too easily, I get that, but he does put an awful lot of effort in. He does, and every time I've seen him play, you know, he has little glimpses of quality, whereas a lot of the other players, they don't. So I would like to see him stay. Do I think he will? No, but if it was up to me, I would like to see Oviedo stay. John O'Shea in the middle. I know he's already run up his contract, and I've got a small feeling that once the new owners have 100% officially come in, because as of right now, when I'm recording this, they're very close to finalising it. They've just had a meeting with the EFL, and they are quickening the process, but it's not 100% done. Rumours say that it could be done by next week at some point, which hopefully it does. But I've got a feeling that once they do get a manager in place, hope to God it's not John O'Shea, but I've got a feeling that they will offer him another one-year contract, which I really don't want. I really don't want. I've said it in videos plenty of times before. O'Shea, you've been a half-decent servant, mate, but you need to go. It is been way past it for years now, and I think it was an absolute joke that we even had an end-of-season awards night where they give out the awards, and how he got player of the season, I honestly don't know. None of those players deserved any form of award at the end of that season. How could you? I mean, let's be completely honest. But O'Shea, you know, thanks, but see you later. Please do not offer him another contract. Tyus Browning, who we do have, or did have, on loan, I think he was a bit of a class act. I do think he was a class act, but he was injured in large chunks of the season, on and off. But if we did have the option to sign him, would I want him back? If he was guaranteed to be fully fit, if we could see into the future and see that he was going to be fully fit, then I'd say yes. Do I think he'd come back? Definitely not. But if I had the option to have him back, yes, I would definitely take him back. Brendan Galloway, Loney, the left back. Another shocker. I'd never have him back. Not in a million years. See in a bit. Adam Matthews, another right back. I'm still very 50-50 with him. I don't know. He can either have a half-decent game or just an absolute shocker. A lot of players, I think, I'd like to see under a new manager, to see how they would play under someone new, under a new influence. So I think Adam Matthews, I would like to see him stay. He is prone to a shocker, like I've said, but he's a player who I think could grow and progress under the right management. So I would like to see Adam Matthews stay. Donald Love, which surprisingly, I would like to see him stay. At the beginning of the season, I didn't think he'd get a look in, which he didn't for large parts. But then towards the back end of the season, he was probably one of our best players. Going forward, he was a real attacking menace, which I never thought I'd say, especially for Donald Love. But he didn't look half bad. So I think, especially if he's given a decent run in the team, and again under the right management, I think Donald Love could be a pretty decent right back in League One. Lamine Kone, he was a fan favourite for about 6 months or 3 months, whatever, and then everything went to pot for him, didn't it? He's wanted to leave the club, then he wants to stay at the club, and I don't understand how he stayed here that long, to be fair, throughout the season. I'm pretty sure he will go. He'll probably go for a cut price, which I don't want to see him at the stage anymore, to be honest with you. Half the season he looked like he couldn't be arsed. I feel like we were just putting him in the squad for the sake of it. So I would definitely like to see him go. Jake Clark-Salter, another player who I did get quite excited about when Coleman announced him, when we brought him in on loan. I'd seen bits and pieces of him, and he looked like just a class player, just a bit of class about him, you know, calm on the ball. He could dribble with the ball, he could pass the ball, but he could also make a tackle as well. And I thought that's a brilliant player to have. And it didn't quite work out that way, did it? He's getting sent off half the time. He'd become a little bit of a liability. And I think his sending off just sent me over the edge with him. He just become a liability, like I say. And it just got to the point where I was like, just get gone, son. I can't be doing with you. So Jake Clark-Salter, I wouldn't have him back. Mark Wilson, a player who I think might do okay-ish in League One, but in saying that, I think the majority of the squad we thought that they'd do okay in the Championship. But Mark Wilson, I would also like to see leave. Now, Djilobodji, who also went out on loan this season, again, I'd like to see him leave. I think there's a lot of players here that we could make quite a decent amount of money off. Djilobodji, if we're completely honest, has been an absolute joke of a defender, but apparently he's been doing okay out on loan, so hopefully he has drove up his price tag a little bit, and we could maybe get 5 or 6 million, 7 million off him. We'll have to see. Now onto the midfield, and I will start with Paddy McNair. Paddy McNair, I would love to see him stay. He's definitely the player I'd like to see us build the team around. I think he can defend, he's a big lad, he's strong, he can go forward, he can't half-strike a ball. So to have him in the centre of that midfield in League One and then surround him by the right kind of players, I think we could possibly get back in the Championship at the first time of asking, especially if we recruit right this summer. So McNair, yes, a definite stay. Lee Catamole, another player I have made my opinions quite clear on in the past. I'd like to see him go. I still believe he should have gone a good couple of years ago at least. I think when he first came, we loved him. We loved his passion, his determination and his fight. And he was just a box-to-box midfielder who just wouldn't stop running. And that's what Sunderland fans love. That's what us Sunderland fans love. We love someone to give 120% every game. And that is exactly what we thought we had with Lee Catamole. But then I think he's got things a bit misunderstood. We love to see him run, chase a ball down, go in for a crunching challenge fairly, and just genuinely give your all, which is something that I love to see in a player. Running your socks off, even if you're not having the greatest of games, if you can see that you're working your arse off, I couldn't care less, mate. If you give me, at the end of the game, a 3 out of 10 match rating, but I know that you have give absolutely everything into that performance, then I'd be more than happy. But Catamole seems to have got this thing a bit misunderstood. He is just such a liability. He's a baby as well. He'll lose the ball and he'll hack down players immediately afterwards. It's just too much of a hothead for me. Don't get me wrong, I love your players like Roy Keane and Patrick Vieira and players like that, but they had quality about them to at least make up for their downfalls when, you know, they get themselves sent off or they go in with a bit of a dirty challenge. But he's shocking. He can't pass a ball. His positional awareness is all over the place, and he'll think that he'll make up for it by just going in with a horrendous challenge here and there, thinking we're going to chant him on for it and clap him for it. No, mate, that isn't how it works. Lee Catamole, you have to go, son. Bye. Now, another loanee, Johnny Williams. Oh, it's just so frustrating. Well, we've barely seen him, have we? And when he has played, he has had those glimpses of quality, but he's a glass man, isn't he? He's just a glass man. It's a shame because he definitely has the quality, but I definitely wouldn't take him back on loan. I definitely wouldn't take him back. Next up is Jack Rodwell. Now, he needs to get the hell out of our club, man. He really needs to get out of our club. He's making an absolute mockery of our club and of himself. I don't know how the hell he thinks he's going to get this big move to a big club with the way he's acted. We offered him to tear up his contract because he said he's not happy at the club, he doesn't want to play for the club, and then he stated that he wanted to, you know, sort of revive an England career in himself. So we offered him, tear up your contract and go to any club you want. But no, he just sat in the wings, accepting his 70k a week wage like the absolute thief that he is. I mean, who the hell would want that? That is the exact mentality that no team wants. He's just a prick. So Rodwell, of course, get out, son. Wabi Kazri, of course, he's been out on loan for the majority of for almost all the season anyway. It's annoying with him because I know that he's got an incredible amount of quality, but he's also one of the laziest players out there. And he's just another player who we could probably make a decent amount of money off. So I would like to see him go. Now on to Callum Mcmanaman. I actually quite like him. He does put a lot of effort in. He doesn't have a massive amount of quality, but he's very direct with his running, and I think he could prove to be a dangerous player in League One. So I'd like to see Callum Mcmanaman stay. Didier Ndong, the man who infamously went to Watford to get some Premier League game time and has played 0 minutes. I mean, it's just hilarious, really, isn't it? It really is. And Chris Coleman was saying, you know, we'll make a deal, a loan deal, which basically means that Watford are going to have to pay some form of transfer fee at the end. We'll make sure we're not done over in this deal. We'll only accept the one that's right for the club. And Watford have just completely done us over. So we'll be having Ndong back, unfortunately, it looks like. But yeah, he needs to go as well. It's mainly to drive down the wage budget, because Ndong, it's weird because he's just another player who can have an incredible game. He can run the show at times. Someone with loads of stamina and can boss the midfield, but then he'll have another one where he looks like he's never played football in his life. I think if his wages were a lot smaller, then I'd like to keep him on, but nah, for the good of the club, I think he needs to leave. Aiden McGeady. Now, one of the biggest factors with Aiden McGeady is if his wages are really high, which I'm not too sure whether they are. I would think that they're relatively high because we only paid a very small amount for him. Then I think he would have to go if his wages are quite high. But if they're not, then I'd like to see him stick around. He's another player who frustrates me massively. He never knows when to release a ball, but he does have that spark of quality that not many of our players have at all. He can have an absolute blinder, and he can do little pieces of skill that no one else can do. He can pull off little pieces of magic that, again, no one else can do. But then again, 9 times out of 10, he'll have a game where there's someone running through, it's a blatant pass, and he'll just hold on to it, and hold on to it, and hold on to it, and he doesn't know when to release that ball. And is a little bit greedy. But purely just for that little bit of quality, maybe when we need it in a desperate game, I'd like to have McGeady around, so I would say to stay. George Honeyman, someone who I would definitely like to see stay. He's definitely a sort of core of players that I would like to see this club built around going into next season. He has been linked with Sheffield Wednesday, which I hope isn't too true. I hope there's nothing to it. But he could be a future captain of the club, and I'd like to see him stay. He just gives 120%. He's just what we want to see in a Sunderland player. He isn't the best on the ball, or he isn't the best footballer in the world, but he does put in 120%, and I love that in Honeyman. So yes, I'd definitely like to see him stay. Gooch, Lyndon Gooch, another part of the nucleus that I would like to see stay at the club. He's played a bit part role this season, very on and off, but he does have quality. Again, he's another player who works his arse off. I would like to see him stay. Ethan Robson, we haven't seen too much of him, but he's been okay-ish in some games. He is still a young player. He's from Sunderland. He knows the club inside out. So I think under the right management, again, I'd like to see him be a part of that nucleus. Elliot Embleton, who we haven't seen anywhere near enough of for me to make a fair judgment. But being a youngster, I'd definitely like to see him stay, because that is what I'm wanting. I'm wanting a young squad. I'm fed up of experience, really. Now there is the odd player that I have said, like Eddie McGeady, who is experienced, who I wouldn't mind to see stay. But I want the base of the squad to be youth. I don't believe in experienced players anymore, and I've made my opinion known on experienced players. I think experienced players, they're a dying breed, or a dead breed, in fact. Nowadays, because there is all the money involved, I think we call them experienced players, but they're just leeches who want to keep their wages as high as possible for as long as possible. So if we started picking out players who are 31, 32, 33 years old from whatever league, and they used to have a relevant name in football, they don't really offer anything. They just sap up the wages and just slowly begin to retire at our club, which has happened for years. So I'd like to just see a more sort of passionate, driven, young squad in this team. Over Majeure, a player who I do actually really like, who we had on loan from Liverpool. I actually spoke with a Liverpool fan the other week about Majeure. He was asking me how he's done. I don't think we've seen quite enough of him to make a fair assessment on him. When he has played, he has seemed half decent, but he is, or has been, injured on and off. So if we had the option to have him back, possibly yes, but only if he could stay fit. It's another one of them. But yeah, I do quite like Majeure. Now onto the strikers, and we'll begin with Ashleigh Fletcher on loan from Middlesbrough. And I've seen quite a few opinions change on Ashleigh Fletcher quite recently. I think it's probably because of the Wolves game and everyone got a bit excited, and some guys have said that he'll do really well in League One if we were to have him back, which he might well do, but I think some of you guys, including me, I was probably part of it, we kind of forget what a shocking season he's actually had. He does work his socks off, bless him. Well, at times he works his socks off. But he's just awful. He's an awful striker. He can come up with a moment of glory. You know, he has banged in a couple of goals this season. But other than that, he's just dire. He really is dire. So I probably wouldn't. I wouldn't have him back. Kazenga, Loa. No, we haven't seen him at all. We've just seen him sat on the bench the entire time, pretty much. So I don't know whether that says something about his attitude, or there's something not quite right with him behind the scenes, or he's been injured. So no, I wouldn't like to see him back. He doesn't deserve it. I mean, he might have decent pace on FIFA, but no, we haven't seen enough of him. No. Duncan Watmore, yes, I'd like to see him stay at the club, but it's just such a... I love Duncan Watmore. I love him. He's one of my favourite players at the club right now, but he's always injured, bless him, which I know it's not necessarily his fault, but he is always injured. He'll go through a run of games where we think, this is the man that's going to drive the club forward, and then he'll break something. Some part of his body will break, and we won't see him for a year, which is a massive shame because he has such high potential, and he has for a good 2 or 3 seasons now. But it's always injuries that have let him down. If he could get over this injury, then yeah, definitely. I'd like to see him stay. Anyway, I'd definitely like to see him stay. As long as he's not on a massive wage, then yeah, I can't see us getting rid of him anyway. There's no way anyone would really want him, surely, if he's been injured all the time. But I'd love to see him get running the team next season and get himself fit again. Next up, we've got Josh Majeure and Joel Asura. Both players, they always somehow come together, don't they, when we mention these players. But yes, I would like to see them both stay. Of course I would. I would kind of wish that fans wouldn't put so much pressure on these players because they are only so young, and I want them to learn, which is a kind of rant I had in the relegated Sunderland video. I want these two to learn what is right and what is wrong. The rant that I was going on in that in the Sunderland getting relegated video, the rant that I was saying is basically there's fans that big them up even after a poor performance. These lads, they need to learn what is right and what is wrong. I think praise should be given when it's due. You know, like there has been times where we've got battered, they've shown nothing all game, then you'll get Asura posting a Snapchat of him pouting like an idiot, and then people saying, you know, you're a legend, you're the future of Sunderland, and this will be just hours after a battering from friggin' Ipswich or something, you know, and they're probably thinking, you know, oh, I can perform how I want, and I'll still get called a legend just because I'm young, and just because I apparently have some potential. You know, but I do like them. I really like them, but I always end up going on about that rant. It really gets to me. But if we do manage to nurture these players properly, then I think those two could be very, very good in League One. Do I think they'll stay? I think Asura will stay. Asura, not long ago, it was a few days ago, I think he went live on Instagram, and he was speaking with his friend. He was abroad, and they were playing basketball, and fans were asking him, are you staying at Sunderland? Are you staying at Sunderland? And Asura said, he said something, and it was inaudible, so you couldn't hear it properly. And then whoever his friend was said, you know, if you couldn't hear him, what he said is he's definitely staying at Sunderland. I don't know whether that was sort of jokingly or what, but that's probably the biggest hint we've got that he is going to stay. So hopefully he does. I do like Asura. He does have a bit of pace about him. He does have a bit of quality about him. He hasn't set the world alight, which some fans seem to think he has. He hasn't. He hasn't scored that many goals for us this season. Majeure scored, what, 1, 2 goals this season, absolute maximum. But yeah, I think if they're nurtured right, I think those two could be potentially a lethal strike partnership if they are managed and coached correctly. So guys, that is my opinion on who I think should stay and who I think should go. Remember, it is only my opinion. You let me know who you think should stay and who should go in the comments if you would like to get involved. I would include who I think we should buy and stuff like that, but because the whole ownership situation isn't 100% complete, we don't have a manager as of yet, we don't have a clue what the transfer budget is going to be, or what kind of players, or what kind of calibre of players we're going to go for yet. I don't think it would be right for me just yet to say I'd like to go for this player, that player, and the other when we might only have 1 million to spend. You don't know yet, guys. You don't know until it's over the line and it's done. But if you have enjoyed the video, guys, please hit that like button for me. It would be massively appreciated, and subscribe and all that nonsense. But for now, you take care and stay jamming.